And also, so when it's come to your course, you have to do the presentation. So in 3rd of August, that means next Saturday, we will start the presentation. So I will take the first 8 groups in this Saturday, and next 8 groups I will take in the next Saturday, right? So I hope everyone participate with the presentation. Either you have not presented or presented, you have to participate with the presentation, then you can get some sort of additional knowledge from the presentation. So sometimes I will take some of the points of your presentation to your paper as well, right? So therefore, better to participate with the presentations. Either you are not presenting or presenting, right? So better to participate, right? So with that point, I am moving to the questions that I have shared with you. I have already shared the questions with you. Basically, I have shared 5 questions. So we are trying to cover up the things which we have discussed till now from those questions, right? So I'm moving to the document. Right. Everyone can see, right? Yes. Can
Yes,
see my.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Right. So in the first session, we have discussed about the ethical issues which is relating to the CFO or the one who is working in the company as a higher level management. What kind of ethical issues you have to face as a CFO, right? So that is our main focus in the ethics, right? So there we have discussed about the ethical threats and the professional principles, as well as the how we are going to deal with the threat, how we are going to manage your threat, right? That is also a kind of a risk if you are working in a uh, uh, in a role of CFO, any other high level of management position, right? So that is what we have basically discussed. So there we have discussed 4 stages, how we are going to deal with the question. There I have discussed with you 4 stages. So if you can remember, what are the 4 stages? Yes. How you need to deal with the question? Anyone remember what are the 4 stages? Yes. What are the 4 stages we can deal with the ethic question? Yes. No one remember. Very good. Yes. Any volunteer? So if it is
We have to
go ahead.
we
Go
have
ahead.
to identify the issue first as step number 1.
Yeah.
Then we have to see what's the ethical threat that we are faced with. Then as step number 3, we have to see the fundamental principle that is breached. And as step number 4, we have to provide the solution step by step.
Yes, very good. So first of all, what we have to do is we need to identify the issue which is described in the case, right? So basically, in your paper, right, I will check your knowledge by using a case study, because I'm not asking what are the principles, what are the professional principles, and what are the ethics, what are the threats. I'm not asking like that. I will use a case study, right? Basically, in this case study, there is an issue, right? That means not an issue in a case study. In a case study, there is a kind of a ethical issue, right? So what we have to do is, first thing you have to do is you need to find out that issue, right? So that is the first step you need to follow, because I'm showing a kind of a steps, because when you're writing an answer, right, it will guide you to construct a good answer, right? Then the examiner also happy with your answer, right? He can easily mark your answer, right? So first thing is you need to find out the issue within this case study, right? So if I'm providing a case study, basically I will provide a case study which is relating to a higher level of management, right? Kind of a CFO, right? So think you are a CFO and how you are going to deal with this ethical issue. That is the question, right? So first of all, as she mentioned, you need to identify the issue which is embedded in this case study, right? Then you need to identify the because of this issue, what kind of a threats you are having as a CFO, right? What kind of threats you are having as a CFO, right? So now you can identify the threats. So what are the 5 kind of threats we are having? Yes. Generally, what are the threats we are having? Yes.
Self-interested.
Yes. Self-interested. Yes.
Advocacy, permeability, and intimidation.
And one is missing. Self-interest. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Self-reveal, right?
Yes. Self-review threats. Yes. So we will discuss about the self-interested. Self-interested means you are having a kind of interest on your financial statement and all, right? So adequacy and the familiarity, integrity, and self-review. We have discussed this. So you have to identify the issue. Then, because of this issue, what kind of threat you are having, right? Either one of this issue or 2 of this issue. Sometimes all 5 may be there, right? Right. So therefore, the second step, so you need to identify the issue. If it is a financial reporting issue, if it is a, let's say the management is ask you to manipulate the financial statement, that is a financial statement related issue, right? You are having. So because of that issue, what kind of a threats you are having? So basically we are having 5 threats, right? So out of these 5 threats, sometimes in a case study, sometimes 1 or 2, or sometimes all 5 may be related to the case study, right? So that is the second step you need to follow, right? The third one, so you have identified the threats, sometimes 1 or 2, right? So based on these threats, what fundamental principles is affected? Fundamental principles, affected fundamental principles, right? So because of this threat, let's say I'm having a self-interest rate. So because of the self-interest rate, what fundamental principle affected by the self-interest rate I am having, right? So you have to discuss that thing as a third step, right? As a third step, right? Fundamental principles. So what are the fundamental principles we are having? Yes, fundamental principles. Yes, fundamental principles. What are the fundamental principles?
Integrity.
Yes, integrity. Yes,
Objectivity.
objectivity, integrity, objectivity,
Professional competence and due care.
professional competence and due care. Yes, correct. Then
Confidentiality.
confidentiality,
Professional behavior.
professional, right? So you need to work as the integrity. You need to work with the integrity, and your objectivity needs to be there, and you have to have the professional competence and due care. You need to have the required skills and due care, and confidentiality. You need to uh, be be very much. You need to keep the things secretly, right? Because you can't uh, uh, give the company insights to the other people, right? So you need to maintain the confidentiality. Sometimes because of the legal scenarios, because of the professional things, you have to breach the confidentiality. That is okay with the legal requirement, but other than that, you need to have the confidentiality with you. right? And the professional behavior as a you are doing a profession as a professional accountant, you need to maintain the behavior as a professional, right? So that those are the fundamental principles you need to have as a professional accountant, right? So first of all, you need to identify the issue. Then based on the issue, you have identified what are the threats you are having. Based on the threats, you are identifying the fundamental principles which is affected, right? So that is the third point. So now you have construct the issue, right? What kind of issue am I having? What kind of threats am I having? And what are the fundamental principles affected, right? Now all are okay, right? So now the background is okay. Now you are going to answer. You are going to provide the solution for the CFO, for the higher level of management, right? So now we are going to give some solution, right? There is a problem now. In the case study, there is a problem, ethical problem. Now you have to provide the solution. You have built the foundation. Now you have to provide the solution. So how we are going to provide the solution? What is the fourth step? Fourth step, we can follow the conceptual framework, or we can say step-by-step solution we can go, right? So what are the step-by-step solutions, right? So first of all, you need to identify what are the solutions we are having identified, right? Then you have to evaluate the identified solution, evaluate, right? Then you need to address the issue, right? You need to address the issue, right? So under the conceptual framework, first of all, you need to identify the issue, right? Identify the solution for the issue and evaluate the solutions. And then you can use the best solution. That means you are going to address the issue, right? So when you are going to addressing the issue, right? You are now going to addressing the issue. You can follow three things. You can have the you will have a general concept, like you are evaluating the safeguard, general safeguard, right? Then you can have the safeguard, right? You can have a safeguard. And also the third thing, you can decline your work, decline your professional work, right? You can generally evaluate the safeguard. You are not going to apply the safeguard, but you are evaluating whether I can apply these things, right? And you can have a safeguard. And if the safeguard is not let's say not stopping the ethical concerns which is arising, then you have to decline, or you have to refuse your work, right? You have to refuse the work, and you can decline the professional attachment with the company, right? So that is the three things we can go for, right? Normally we are just evaluating the safeguard when the ethical issue is a kind of a less kind of a rare, right? Kind of a rare sort of thing which is affecting to the uh, ethical concerns of the accountant, right? So yeah, you're using the safeguard when it is less impacted, right? Less impacted. So if it is only we have to do, there is nothing to do, then nothing to do, we have to decline the engagement. We have to decline the engagement. So that is how you are going to answer a question, right? That is how you are going to answer a question, right? So these things we have discussed in your what do you call the lectures, right? So I will repeat it again. First of all, what you need to do, you need to identify the issue. Then you need to identify the threats in that issue. Then based on the threats, you need to identify what are the fundamental principles affected. Then based on the fundamental principle affected, you need to provide the solution, step-by-step solution with the conceptual framework. So when it's come to the conceptual framework, you need to identify what are the solutions you are having, and you need to evaluate the solution. And then finally, you need to address the issue, right? When you are going to address the issue, first scenario, that means the impact is very rare thing, right? Impact is not very much kind of a impacted one. Then you can evaluate the safeguard. If it is a kind of a less impacted one, then you can apply the safeguards. So if it is you don't have any other option, you can't apply the safeguard. If you are applying the safeguard, it is not uh, very much useful. So then the final thing, you can decline the professional attachment with the company, right? So that is how you are going to address the case study, right? So this is the kind of a short note you can use for your examination, right? Clear? Clear? Yes. Any questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So I will erase these things. Right. So the first question, actually, I have actually given to you to test your knowledge about the professional principles or the fundamental principles only. It is not actually related to uh, the issue, right? It is not related to the issue. It provides the information about the fundamental principles. So I want to check whether you have the knowledge about the fundamental principles, right? So I will start with the question number 1. Uh, is this one, right? Right. So over the last 2 years, you worked as the engagement manager of SPLS annual statutory audit. You recently obtained the associate membership of CS Sri Lanka. The head of the finance of SPL congratulate you with a gift voucher worth of 25,000 for your achievement, right? So you have worked as an engagement manager of FPL annual statutory audit, right? So you are the audit of the SPL company, right? So this is the company name, right? Right. You are the auditor of the SPL auditor, right? And recently you have obtained a CA membership. That means you are recently become a CA, right? The head of the head of finance of SPL congratulate you with a gift voucher worth of 25,000 because you have become a CA. The company owners or the head of finance of the company give you 25,000 worth of gift voucher, right? Last weekend, you changed your profile on social media sites to say that you have over 5 years of force qualified experience as a chartered accountant, right? So recently you got a membership of CA, but in the social media, right? You posted like you are having 5 years of force qualification experience as a chartered accountant, right? ළඟදී තමයි chartered accountant උනේ. හැබැයි වා Facebook එකේ හරි අපි කියන social media site එක දානවා මම qualification එක අරන් force qualification experience එකක් තියෙනවා මට අවුරුදු 5ක, right? With your audit clients and disclose you all shared on social media sites your experience at your audit firms. So you are showing everything which is happening in the audit firm in the social media, right? And as well as your experience with your audit clients and disclose certain facts such as client estimate profitability, targets and achievement, etc. Right? Furthermore, you currently spend a considerable amount of time during your office hours browsing through suitable job opportunities advertised on requirement sites, recruitment sites, and applying for them. Right. So you are because you are become now CA now. So then you are trying to go out from the audit firm, right? So you are searching some advertisement from the job recruitment sites, right, and using your office hours, right, for that, right? Even though you do not possess banking sector audit experience, you have even applied for the jobs in banks, although the advertisement specially required relevant sector experience. You also started to provide assurance services for some clients under your name. So you are working as a uh, audit engagement manager in an audit firm, as well as you are doing a kind of assurance service on your own name as well, and use resources of your audit firm such as printing materials, communication equipments, and other utilities to issue assurance report to your client, right? Right. So now this case study is applying for the professional accountant, professional PA, accountant in practice. So generally in your syllabus, most probably we are going to ask question from professional accountant in business, right? Basically, we are having two types of professional accountants. We have discussed this, right? Professional accountant in business and professional accountant in practice. Professional accountant in business means a CFO or any other high level management who is as a work as a chartered accountant, right? Who has a chartered accountancy designation, right? We call it as PA in business, who is actually involved with the business things, right? Professional accounting practice is who is actually performing the or actually dealing with the audits, statutory audits or other audits. Or we can say he is employee in the audit firm, professional accountant in practice, right? So this case is applying for the professional accountant in practice, right? So what is the requirement? Discuss the ethical issues arising from the facts given above in relation to the 5 fundamental ethical principles per the Code of Ethics issued by CS Sri Lanka 2023, right? So now we are having 2023 Code of Ethics now, right? According to that, right? So what are the 5 fundamental ethical principles which is affected, right? Because of this issue which is created in the case study, what are the 5 fundamental principles affected and how it's happened? Why it is affected? So you have to answer, right? So first principle, what is the first principle? We are having self interest. That is the first principle. What is the first principle we are having? Yes, if you can remember. Sorry.
Integrity.
Yes, very good. Self-interest trait means traits, right? We are discussing about the fundamental principles, right? Integrity. So how the integrity affected with this case? How is affected when I read in the case? What do you mean by integrity? So basically this question asks, you need to pick the examples from the case study and you have to relate it to the one of the fundamental principle. මේ fundamental principles පහ ලියලා ඒ fundamental principle පහ describe කරන examples මේ case එකෙන් අරන් දෙන්න කියලා තමයි කියන්නේ. Right? So integrity is the first fundamental principle. Yes, correct. So what is the example in this case? Yes. What is the example? Yes, tell me.
To be honest, that
Okay, to be honest, that what is the issue here? Integrity issue. When you're looking at this, to be honest, that is the meaning. Yes, integrity is that. Yes.
Even though this person having recently qualified, he has posted that he is having post-qualifying experience.
Yes, that is the thing. He is not having the integrity because he is actually indicating some of the skills or experience which is not, he don't have, right, in his CV and he's in the social media as well. So he's not honest person. That means he's not having the integrity, right? So that it shows the lack of integrity. Yes, correct. Right. Then the second one, second fundamental principle. Yes.
objectivity.
Yes, objectivity. So what is the meaning of the objectivity? Objectivity. Objectivity, you are working for some objectives. What do you mean by objectivity? You are having some sort of, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Influence of others.
Yes, basically influence of others. You are biased, right? You are having a conflict of interest, right? You are biased on the things you are doing, right? So what is the example for that? What scenario is breaching the objectivity or trying to breach the objectivity? Yes. Yes.
Accepting the gift voucher.
So how it's breaching the objectivity?
So if the audit manager to take that gift voucher, so he will be biased.
Yeah, sometimes because he is accepting this 25,000 gift voucher from the finance managers, he has a kind of a, see, he will build a kind of a interest towards the finance manager. So therefore, if the finance manager tells something to do, he has to do that, right? Because he have to have the bias, right? So therefore, that is the example. Yes, correct. So when I write in the answer, you need to write like that, right? Accepting the gift voucher is not the answer. You need to write a whole answer, right? Explaining how it's breaching, right? How the fundamental principles of objectivity is breached, right? Right. So what is the third one? Third fundamental principle. Yes.
Professional competence and due care.
Yes. So how it's breaching here? Professional competence and due care. Professional competence and due care. How is breaching that? What is the example for that? Yes. Yes. Professional competence and due care. What that means? You need to have the required skill to perform the job, right? If you don't have the required skill to perform that job as a professional accountant, you are not accepting that, even though you are chartered accountant, right? You are not a kind of a CLA that no, right? So therefore, as a chartered accountant, if you are familiar with some sort of areas, you have to accept only those areas, right? So other than that, if you don't know anything, if you have become a chartered accountant, yes, you can use the chartered accountant designation and work for any company. But if you are not having the proper experience on that sector, so better not to accept that, because you don't have the professional competence and due care on that, right? So what is the example for that in this case study? Yes.
Applying for job opportunities in the banking sector.
Yes, very good, very correct, right? So because you don't have a banking sector audit experience, you can see you don't possess banking sector audit experience. You have even applied for the jobs in bank, although the advertisement specially required relevant sector experience. You also start. That is the answer, right? So because but you don't have the professional experience or the sector experience in the banking sector, but you are applying to uh, the jobs in the banking sector. So that is actually breaching the fundamental principle of professional competence and due care. Right, 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 right. Then the next one. So we have discussed three: integrity, objectivity, professional competence. So what is the fourth one? Yes.
Confidentiality.
Confidentiality, right? Confidentiality. So what is the example here? Confidentiality. Yes, confidentiality, how it's breached here.
Disclosing the information of the audit clients on social media.
Exactly, right? So you can see he's talking about the clients, right? In the social media, he's posting the experience with his audit clients in the social media, and also he's disclosing the certain facts such as client estimate profitability targets achievements in the social media, right? Right. So that will compromise the confidentiality, right? That will compromise the confidentiality, right? Yes. Then the last one is, fourth one is confidentiality. Last one is professional behavior. So how it's affected professional behavior. So what do you mean by professional behavior? What do you mean by professional behavior? So basically, when it's called the professional behavior, you need to comply with the rules and laws and regulations, and so you need to avoid conducting some professional misbehaviors, right? Right, right. So what is the example here? You can find out from the case study. Professional behavior. Yes, professional behavior.
While working in the firm as a manager, he's doing audits on his own by
Yes.
using the resources of the firm.
Yes, very good. So that is the example. He's breaching his professional behavior fundamental principle, right? So when you are looking at this case study, you can see this chartered accountant breaching all 5 fundamental principles, right? So if someone is breaching the fundamental principles, right? Let's say he's breaching fundamental principle regularly, and it will actually having some sort of discredit to the profession, right? Definitely, chartered accountants of Sri Lanka will remove the chartered accountancy badge from that person, right? So recently, one of the politician has to uh, get out from the CA because of this professional. He's breaching the professional fundamental professional ethics, right? Right. So they are not revealing that, right? They are not revealing, but they are doing that, right? ඒගොල්ලෝ කියන්නේ මේ නිවුස් වලට දාන්නේ මේ මෙයාගේ chartered accountancy එක ගැලවුවා කියලා. But they are doing that in the as an internal process, right? If you are breaching a fundamental principle, and if someone is complaining that to the CA or CS Sri Lanka will find out that, or there is any kind of a legal issue is there. So definitely CS Sri Lanka will act against that, right? So therefore, as a chartered accountant, you have to have the fundamental ethical principles with you, right? Right. If you are not become a chartered accountant, but you are still working in a kind of a company, it's better to have these fundamental principles. So then you will become a good ethical person, right? Right. Okay. So in this first question, it is not actually very much close to your paper, right? So I'm not going to give this kind of a question, but I want to actually firstly elaborate what are the 5 fundamental principles, whether you are having a knowledge about the fundamental principle that I want to pick, right? So hopefully some of your colleagues answer to the questions, so that is good, right? And next thing is, so don't worry about when we are discussing the question, don't worry about writing the answers, right? I will give the answers to you, right? So don't worry about that. But when I'm asking to write an answer and give your answer to the let's say for the audience or for the knowledge of your colleagues, so better to uh, give the answers, right? So this is a kind of a discussion mode, right? We are following a discussion mode, so you can have some add-ons, right? You can give some feedbacks, you can give some additional things which I have missed, right? So you can come up with your own answer, right? So then we can discuss, right? So that is how it goes, right? Okay, question number 2 is basically addressing a kind of a, I'm not saying this is the same question in your examination, but it's a kind of a same type of question when I'm going to ask in your examination, right? So question number 2, Technova Corporation, a rapid growing technology firm, has prepared its draft financial statement for the year ended 31st March 2002. The results are significantly below expectation, with sharp decline in operating profit compared to the previous year. This downturn has directly impacted the company operating cash flow. Management attributes the poor performance to increase the competition, rising research and development cost, and a one-time legal settlement related to the patent dispute. However, they believe these challenges are temporary and that the company growth will resume in the coming year. Concern about the potential breach of loan covenant, a decline in share price, and the impact on exclusive compensation, management has proposed adjustment to the financial statement. The first proposal is capitalize the portion of research and development costs, right? Reclassification the legal settlement as an extraordinary item, right? So that means removing the significant legal expense from the income statement would enhance the company's reporting earnings, right? So here, what happened here is this company is a kind of a rapidly growing company. That means it is actually a good company which is growing now, right? But because of some sort of issues, right? Their uh, expected results will not come, right? So therefore, their operating profit will decline compared to is declining compared to the previous year, and also there is a kind of downturn of the operating cash flows, right? So the management has find out that this has happened because of the increased competition. They are having a kind of a good competition, and also it will rise in the research and development cost. Because they are an innovative company, so they have to deal with big so much of the research and development cost. So they have to have the big amounts of for the research and development expenses. And also there's a one-time legal settlement is there. One-time legal settlement means if we are done this settlement, it will affect to the whole year. One-time legal settlement, kind of a big legal settlement because of the patent disputes, right? You are using a, let's say I'm using a Microsoft patent for my own product. So there's a legal dispute is going up, and Microsoft is asking some sort of legal settlement from us, right? However, they believe these challenges are temporary. They are believing that this is all right. These are very temporary things, right? So therefore, if these things adjusted to this year, right, it will decline the company's share price. So if the share price is declining, definitely shareholders withdrawing the money from the company, right? Because they don't get the expected outcome, right? Because our main objective is to enhance the shareholders' wealth now. So if the shareholders' wealth is not increasing, then definitely they are withdrawing their money. So then there will be a decline of share prices. And also there are some potentials is coming up because you are going to breach the loan covenant because you don't have the liquidity, right? Because you have to pay so much of money to settle the legal dispute, right? So because of that, this will impact on the company's uh, financial statement. So therefore, the finance team or the management, the director board is suggesting to the finance manager these two suggestions they are suggesting. The first one is capitalize a portion of research and development cost, right? So then generally we are having the research and development cost in a P&L, right? Right. Mostly the research cost we are in a P&L. So they are asking to put this research and development cost you have to let's say these research and development costs are revenue nature ones, right? Right. So therefore, you have to post it in the P&L, right? So what management is asking you to capitalize, let's say 50% of the research and development cost. So then what will happen? It will only impact to the half of the research and development cost to the P&L, right? So then your impact to the financial or the P&L will be lower. And also reclassifying the legal settlement as an extraordinary item. That means you are removing the legal settlement from the P&L. Then it will it will not impact to the reporting earnings, right? Reporting earnings, right? So requirement is analyze the ethical implication of management proposed adjustment, evaluate the impact of these changes on the financial statement and the company stakeholders, discuss the role of the finance director in this situation and recommend appropriate action, right? So what they are asking? They are asking three things, right? The first one is ethical issues, ethical principles relating to the professional accountant in practice. Right. So management is suggesting these two. Right. Management is suggesting these two. Right. So the first one is ethical issues which is affecting the professional accounting in practice. Then evaluate the impact because of these suggestions. If you are doing these suggestions, so what kind of impact is having for the stakeholders and for the financial state? මේ දෙක apply කරොත් financial statement වලට මොකද වෙන්නේ? Company stakeholders වලට මොකද වෙන්නේ? Right. Then the third one, discuss the role of finance director in this situation and recommend the appropriate action. That means what kind of actions the finance director need to get because this is breaching the ethical principle. Right. What kind of action? Whether you are going to accept this, whether you are going to decline this, or you can have a safeguard like us, you have to write the answer. Right. Right. So take 10 minutes of time and draft a kind of a small short note for this question. I don't want the full answer, but for this, what kind of things you are going to write? For this, what kind of things you are going to write? Kind of a draft answer. Just try to write by using 10 minutes time. Only 5 minutes, right? Not 10 minutes, 5 minutes. If you go for the 10 minutes, then you don't have much time. 5 minutes. So 8:31, we can discuss this, right? I'm asking to present your answers, right? So try to draft a few points Right. Okay. So tell me the answers. Yes. Yes. So what is the ethical implication of the management proposed adjustments? Yes. Ethical implications.
It will impair the integrity and objectivity.
Yes. It will impair the integrity and objectivity. Yes. Correct. Right. Because if the management is knowing that this is wrong, right? Because the purpose is to uplift the profit or uh, from the escape from the profit reduction, right? So definitely it will impact to the integrity. And the objectivity is there. Objectivity, there is a kind of interest because if they don't have the proper profit, sometimes they will lose their promotion. Sometimes they will lose their bonuses, right? So therefore, so they will, if they are proposing this kind of adjustments, it will breach the integrity and the objectivity. Yes, correct. Right. So how it's impacted to the financial statement? It is kind of a financial related question, financial statement related question, and for the company stakeholders, how it will impact it to the uh, financial statements and the company stakeholders. So when it's come to the financial statement, let's say financial statement, research and development expense. So what is the standard for the research and development expenses? Yes.
LKS 13. LKS 38.
Okay. According to LKS 38, what we have to do for the research and development expenses, basically?
For research expenses, we have to charge it to PNL. But when it comes to development expenses, based on there are some criteria. Based on that, we can capitalize because if there is a future economic benefit from the development expenses.
Yeah. If the production process is uplift because of the development cost, then we can capitalize. There are, as you mentioned, there are a few conditions are there, right? So basically, let's say these criteria are not met, right? So here the research and development cost, the full cost, we have to charge to the PNL, right? So therefore, what we have to do is according to the LKS 38, right? So let's say we only having research cost, right? Forget about the development cost. We can omit this one, right? So then that will be easy, right? We are only having research cost. So definitely according to the LKS 38, we need to charge it to the PNL, right? So if you are not charging to the PNL, right, your financial statement presenting a wrong value, right, wrong numbers. So then the stakeholders taking the wrong economic decision. So as a professional accountant, you need to comply with the SLFRSs and LKS, right? And also if this company is a PLC company, right? So you according to the Companies Act number 7, so you need to adhere with the accounting standards, right? And also according to CSC listing rules, right? You need to adhere with the CSC listing rules, right? So if you are changing or if you are doing these adjustments to the financial statement, how the company stakeholders are actually affecting is definitely their economic decisions got wrong, right? Because even though your profit is declining, you are showing a profit increment because of this adjustment, right? Then the stakeholders are thinking that the company is good, right? So I'm keeping my money with the company. Oh, and the potential investors or the potential investors are investing their money to the company because the company is having a high growth, right? Even though they don't have, right? Likewise, it will affect the economic decisions of the economic stakeholders, right? Stakeholders, right? That is basically relating to the financial statement or other things, right? And the next one is the very important one, which is relating to our area. Discuss the role of the finance director in this situation and recommend the appropriate action. So what is the role of financial director or the financial accountant or the financial manager who is involved with this process? So what he can do? So what is the issue here? So issue here is they are actually manipulating the financial statements using some mismatches in the accounting principles, right? So that is the issue, right? So what are the ethical traits the finance director is having? What are the ethical traits the finance director is having? Yes, what are the threats? What are the threats finance director at the end?
Conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest is not a threat, no? So what you need? Yes, intimidation, yes. Intimidation threat, right? Kind of a conflict of interest, right? So why you are saying like that? What is the reason for that?
Because if he's pressurizing to do this, like profitability is high, no? So in that
Yeah.
case, it will affect into the pay, like bonuses, like incentives, which is given to
Yes.
the finance director.
Yeah. So because if this thing happen, then definitely it will uplift your profit, increase your profit, right? So that basically impacted the finance director as well, because the finance director also kind of a high level, he's holding a high level position in the management. No? Sometimes he will having a promotion because it's showing profit, he will having a bonuses, right? So he's having a kind of a conflict of interest, right? Right. So that is a kind of a threat he's having. Yes. Any other threats? And also because of this self-interest threat also there, right? As I mentioned before, finance director is having a kind of a self-interest on the financial statement, right? Self-interest on financial statements, right? And also, any other threats? Any other threats? Yes. Any other threats? So then what are the professional principles which is breaching because of these threats? Yes. Definitely he is, if he is accepting this, definitely this will breach the integrity, right? Because if he is accepting this and doing this, definitely it will impact the integrity and also for the objectivity, right? Right, integrity and the objectivity, right, of the finance manager, right? So how we are going to address the issue? How we are going to address the issue? What is the first thing you can do? So that is the thing you need to know, right? For the appropriate action, more more marks will allocated to this area. What are the appropriate actions you can have? So now you know the issue, you are having the threats and the principles. So what are the appropriate actions you can have? The first thing what we can do.
Discuss with the other board directors regarding this.
Okay, so basically you can discuss with the board of directors and you can explain if you are going with these kind of adjustment, what kind of things happen to the financial statement and the requirement of financial standards and the requirement of financial principles, right? Right. So you need to explain those things and discuss with the directors, right? Then if the directors is not agreeing with you, right, and even though you have explained this, the directors will ask again to will ask you you to adjust those things again, right? So what I can do then? The next step, if the directors are not agreeing with you, yes, the second step.
Consulting professional accounting bodies.
So before that, you can have a discussion with the internal auditors and the external auditors, right? So you can inform them. You can inform them to look at this matter, right? Internal auditors and external auditors, and then you can go for the consultation of the professional bodies, as you mentioned. So then, if you can't have any, if you don't have any other solutions with the external auditors, internal auditors, and the consulting the professional bodies, you don't have any other solutions, then definitely you need to decline with the professional attachment with the company, right? So these are the appropriate actions you can follow, right? Appropriate actions you can follow. You have to write this, right? You have to write this, right? Right. So that is how you need to construct a answer for the ethical issue in your examination, right? If there is any kind of a professional issue, ethical issue, so that is how you are going to construct the answer, right? Right? Got it? Yes. So they are giving some sort of numbers, so you can incorporate these numbers to your answers as well, right? You can show if the capitalization is done, what happened to the operating profit likewise, right? Right. Any questions regarding the ethics? Any questions? Any questions regarding the ethics? Yes. All clear? All clear? Yes or no? Any questions? Any concerns? Right. Since you don't have any questions, okay, I'm moving forward, right? So the question number 3 from the enterprise risk management process, or generally the risk management process I'm looking at, right? So I'm reading the question. Yahapalana Solution is a rapidly growing IT service company operating in a high competitive and dynamic market. The company offers a range of services including software development, cybersecurity, and cloud solutions. Due to nature of its business, Yahapalana is exposed to various risks, including operational, financial, reputation, and strategic risks. Yahapalana Solution is concerned about the potential impact of various risks on its operations and financial performance. The company has decided to implement a robust risk management framework, right? So this is a kind of again IT company. It's rapidly growing because nowadays you can see IT companies are actually rapidly growing, right? That is why I'm using the IT companies, right? Generally, when you're looking at the CSC also, when you're going to invest in the CSC, right? But actually, when it's going to invest in the CSC in Sri Lanka, we can't actually use the financial data and invest, because it is actually the power is holding by few people in the CSC, right? then they can actually play with the CSC share prices. So if you are going to invest in the share prices, definitely you will lose in Sri Lanka. Right? It is a volatile market, right? Right. If the share market is actually presenting the country's stability, right? Financial stability. Normally, in any country, the share market is showing the financial stability of that country. That is why in recent years they are saying that our stock exchange is performing very well. That means our economy is really good, right? But actually in Sri Lanka, the financial market or the CSC generally, right? The actually it's played by few people. Like I'm mentioning these names because they are the key players of this Colombo Stock Exchange, the Dhammika Pereira and the Harry Javardhana and Ishan, that the soft logic, sorry, not the soft logic, the it's the um, in the Colombo, there is a big building now next to the hotel. So I can't remember the name, right? So that LB Finance, LB, oh no, I can't remember the name, right? So Ishan, right? So those people are actually holding they are the key players of the Colombo Stock Exchange. So they can play with the shares in the Colombo Stock Exchange according to their requirement, right? If I'm going to invest in the Colombo Stock Exchange, very rare chance of having a profit, right? Right, right, because they are actually extracting the money from the people, right? So therefore, if you don't have you want to have a good stock exchange in a country, the stock exchange can be analyzed, and when you're looking at the numbers and you can analyze the numbers, and you can if you again if you are invest in that company, then definitely you can earn profit if you're analyzing it with the financial metrics and other useful tools, right? So but in Sri Lanka it is actually, I don't think it can be done, right? Right. So likewise, this is a fast growing company. It's IT company, and they are actually involving with the software development, cybersecurity, and cloud solutions, which is generally discussing in nowadays, right? So due to this nature of the business, it is exposing to the operational, financial, and reputational risks, right? They are having few risks, right? They are having operational risk, strategic risk, reputation risk, financial risk, likewise. So therefore, Yahapalana solution is concerned about the potential impact, that means the future impact of the various risks on its operation and financial performance, right? How it's happened, what kind of potential risk I'm having when it's come to the operational and financial performance of our company, right? They are looking at that. The company has decided to implement a risk management framework, right? Because of that, to identify the potential risk and the mitigating strategies, they are going to have the risk management framework, right? Enterprise risk management framework, right? So what is the requirement? So first thing, you need to identify the key risk facing Yahapala solution, considering factors such as competition, technology changes, cyber threats, economic condition, and human resources. So you need to identify the key risks you are having. Then you need to assess the identify risk in terms of their likelihood and impact on the company, right? So you are how much it is impacted to your company and likelihood of that risk you need to analyze, right? Assess. Then based on that, you need to develop the appropriate risk responses. So you have identified the risk and you are analyzing the risk, assess the risk, right? The worth of the risk you are analyzing. Then you need to develop the risk responses, right? For identify five risks, right? And then you need to implement a risk monitoring and control system, right? Then you need to evaluate the effectiveness of the risk management framework and recommend improvement, right? After implementing the risk management framework, you need to evaluate what happened there, right? And you need to have the recommendation for the improvement, right? Right. So those five things you have to do, right? So try to identify the key risks you are facing when it's come to this kind of a company, right? This is kind of a general question. when it's come to the IT related company, when they are dealing with when you're having this technical changes, cyber security threats, economic conditions, and human resources and the competition, what kind of a risk we are having, right? When it's come to these 5 factors. Yes. For the first one, competition, what kind of a risk I'm having? For the competition, yes. What kind of a key risk we are having? Because of the technology changes, we will having some what? Operational risk, right? Operational risk, right? We will having some operational risk. For example, sometimes our system may be failed. Right? There is a system failure will be happen, right? And data breaches can be happen, right? And supply chain disruptions may be happen, right? Supply chain disruptions may be happen, right? And project delay will be happen, right? Sometimes the human errors will be happen because of the technology, right? So therefore the operational risk may be there, right? System failures, data breaches, cyber security attacks, right? Supply chain disruptions, right? Sometimes project will be delayed, some human errors will be happen, right? Likewise, right? Then any other risk? Any other risk? Yes. Yes. මොනවද risk තියෙන්න පුළුවන්? Can you all hear me? Yes. Any other risk? Tell me. Yes.
Strategic risk.
Yes. Strategic risk. So what are the strategic risks we are having here?
Economic conditions.
Yes. Economic condition is a, yeah. So what are the strategic? Yes. Strategic risk is correct. Strategic risk. So we learn about the strategic risk. So generally, what are the strategic risks? We are having a competition, right? We are having the competitive pressure, right? We are having a competitive pressure, right? And we are having some sort of regulatory changes can be happen, right? When it's come to the IT companies, regulatory changes can be happen, right? And also market share, you will be losing your market share. Market shifts can be happen, right? So those are the strategic risks. Yes. Then any other risks? Every company having operational risk, every company having a strategic risk, and every company having a financial risk. Financial risk you are having. So what kind of financial risk you are having? Right.
Revenue fluctuation.
Yes. Revenue fluctuation. Sometimes exchange rate fluctuations can be happen. Exchange rate fluctuations. Yes. Exchange rate fluctuations. Cash flow problems. Right. Cash flow issues can be happen. Credit risk will be there. Credit risk will be there. Right. Likewise. Right. So then also we are having some sort of a reputation risk. Your reputation will be loose. Reputation risk. So what are the reputation risks? Sometimes because of the system failure, people can't use the softwares, like recently happened in for the Microsoft, right? System failure is there, right? So then sometimes negative publicity will be there, negative publicity, right? Right. Sometimes sometimes ethical misconducts, right? Ethical misconducts will be there. Likewise, right? Right. And also we are having some sort of human resources risk, right? In this sector, human resource risk. That is why I'm asking you to using the annual report of different companies and analyze, right? When you guys present in different companies, you can find out the risk what they are having, right? Mostly when it's come to the IT companies, there are big human resource risk because employee turnover is very much high in the IT companies, right? මොකද IT companies වල වැඩ කරන software engineers වලට ඕන තරම් කියලා වැඩ කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒගොල්ලන්ට high demand එකක් තියෙනවා. Right? So therefore there is a human resource risk is there, right? Employee turnover will be there. Skills shortage is there, right? We don't have required software engineers, right? Skills shortage, right? And work environment, workplace disputes, workplace safety is not there, right? So those kind of risk can be there. So generally we are having operational risk, strategic risk, financial risk, reputation risk, and human resource risk. So we have identified the key risk which is having for this company, right? Which is having for this company. So then we need to do the assessment of this identified risk, right? You need to do the assessment, right? So when you are going to assess the risk, so generally you are identifying few risks. Let's say I'm having a cybersecurity risk, right? Cybersecurity risk, or we can say, yeah, cybersecurity risk. I just choose few risks. Economic downturn, right? Employee turnover, supply chain disruptions, likewise. So now I'm going to analyze the impact, right? So when you are going to identify the impact and the likelihood and the impact, right? So when you are having a cybersecurity attack for the IT company, cybersecurity risk for the IT company, right? So the likelihood of happening this is high or low or medium. Cybersecurity attack for the IT company. Yes, likelihood. The possibility of happening this is high or low or medium. Cybersecurity attack. Yes.
High.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely it will be high, right? And impact, if there is a cybersecurity attack, which is high likelihood is happening, what is the impact? How much of impact if the cybersecurity attack is happening for the IT company? Impact would be also high, right? Impact would be also high. Economic downturn, likelihood, when it's come to the Sri Lanka, it is kind of a medium level, right? Right? Not high level, but medium level, right? But the impact is very much high, right? Impact is very much high, right? Employee turnover, employee turnover, employee turnover, Employee turnover, likelihood,
High impact.
yes, generally high, right? So you need to explain why you are mentioning this as high, in the examination, right? So if you are writing the cybersecurity risk is likelihood is high and the impact is high, you need to elaborate why it is, right? So I'm giving the marks for that answer. Right. නැත්නම් හැමෝටම කියන්න පුළුවන් high low කියලා නිකන් දාන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම නැහැ rationalize කරන්න. Why you are saying it's high. Right? Then the impact would be somewhat medium, right? It will not very much affected to the company, but the likelihood can be high. Right? Supply chain disruptions. Normally it's high or low. Supply chain disruptions or medium. Supply chain. Is this a manufacturing company? They are using materials. Yes. Supply chain disruption is kind of a medium likelihood and the impact also medium, right? So when you're writing the medium and or high, if you have a rational to prove that, then you can write the supply chain disruptions also likelihood is high and the impact also high. If you have a rational to prove that, right? Normally in the general business scenario, how they are analyzing the likelihood and impact is using some sort of a accounting measurements.
Medium.
Right. Some sort of risk management tools, right? In the financial management, we are calculating the likelihood and the impact, right? So that is how they are analyzing the likelihood and impact. But for your level, so we are not asking the calculation part. So just you need to rationalize why you are saying it's medium and the likelihood is medium or the impact is medium for each risks, right? So that you can rationalize, right? So we have identified the risk and also the risk. We have assessed the risk and identified the risk and we have assessed the risk. Then third one, we have to respond to the risks, right? So what are the response, right? So we have analyzed the few risks, right? The cybersecurity likelihood is high and the impact is high. So what we can do? What kind of a risk response we can have? Yes. What are the risk response? So what are the risk response methods we are having generally? Yes, 4 risk response methods we are having. Yes, what are they? What we called as? Tell me. Risk response methods. You remember the TARA framework? TARA framework. TARA, T means, T stand for?
Transfer.
Yes, transfer. A. A.
Accept.
Accept. You can transfer the risk, you can accept the risk. And R.
Reduce.
Reduce. And another A.
Avoid.
Avoid. Yes. So you have identified the risk and assess the risk. Now you are going to respond to the risk. So when you are going to respond to the risk, you need to apply the TARA framework, right? You need to apply the TARA framework, right? If the cybersecurity risk is high and the impact is high, right? So you can actually, according to TARA framework, you need to avoid it, right? Generally, right? So when you are going to avoid it, actually you have to have the mitigated mitigation strategies. So what are the mitigation strategies you can have for the cybersecurity risk? Yes. What we can have? You can develop your cybersecurity infrastructure, right? Cybersecurity structure you can develop, right? And also you can provide the employee training, right? You can have an employee training, trained employee you can. If there's a cybersecurity risk is happen, what kind of things I have to do? So employees are all aware about that. And also you are having a good security system, right? You are having good methods of infrastructure when it comes to cybersecurity, right? Right. And also you can have a plan, right? You can have a incident response plan. Incident response plan. If the incident is happen, what kind of a response I have to do, right? I have to go do what kind of a thing, right? Incident. If this thing happen, I will do this thing, right? Incident plan. Incident response plan. We call it as incident response plan in business, right? In business, right? And also you can have the cyber insurance. Cyber insurance you can have, right? You can transfer this, right? Because the impact is high, likelihood is high, right? So you can transfer this, right? You can transfer using the insurance, cyber insurance, right? Right. And also you can accept this for somewhat, right? By having some backups, right? Backups, right? Or disaster recovery plan. Disaster recovery plan, right? Because the cybersecurity risk is high and impact is high, right? What you can do first is you can mitigate cybersecurity risk you are having. For that, you can have a cybersecurity infrastructure in place. Employee needs to be trained. You can have an incident response plan, right? And you can transfer the risk by using a cybersecurity insurance. And also you can have a backups and disaster recovery plan, right? So those are the risk response, right? And for the economic downturn, it's the likelihood is kind of a medium, but the impact would be high, right? Impact would be high. So what are the response we can have? We can have a diversified custom base, right? Custom base can be diversified. Only, let's say I'm only having a employment base, the customer base in Sri Lanka. So I can diversify the customer base to different countries. So if there is a economic downturn in Sri Lanka, it will not very much affected to my company because I have a diversified custom base, right? I can diversify the custom base, right? And also you can have a cost reduction measures, cost reduction protocols you can have, right? Cost reduction protocols you can have, right? And you can have some financial reserves, that means savings with you. If there is any kind of a downturn, financial reserves for the savings with you, and you can have insurance, right? You can have insurance, right? So these are the risk response. Yes. Then for the employee turnover. So what are the risk response? Tell me. Yes. Yes. What we can do? Yes. Employee turnover risk. So we are having a employee turnover, high risk of employee turnover. Yes. What are risk response? Yes, tell me. ඒක ලේසි නිසා අහන්න මම. කියන්න බලන්න. මොනවද risk response කරන්න කොහොමද? සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කම්පැනි එක එම්ප්ලොයි ටර්න්ಓවර් එක වැඩි නම් කම්පැනි එක කොහොමද ඒ රිස්ක් එක මිටිගේට් කරන්නේ? මොනවද රෙස්පොන්ස් කරන්නේ? කොහොමද රෙස්පොන්ස් කරන්නේ?
By offering a competitive package.
Yes. By offering competitive package. Yes. Any other thing? Even though we are offering a competitive package, people are going. So then what we can do?
Make it good working environment for the employees.
Okay. More than that, think like a director or think like a CFO is looking at in a kind of a top level, but kind of operational level. So working environment is a kind of a thing it's satisfying his mindset. But what we can do, let's say employees are going. So what we can do, either we are having good environment or the package or somewhat, what we can do. මොනවා කරත් employees ලා යනවා කියලා හිතන්න. හොඳ environment එකක් තිබ්බත් package එකක් දුන්නත් යනවා employees. What we can do? You can have a good succession plan, right? Succession plan කියන්නේ ඊට පස්සේ ඒ තැන ගන්න තව එක්කෙනෙක් අපි හදනවා, right? Succession plan. And we can have a talent development programs, right? And as you mentioned, you can have an employee retention program, right? For this employment retention program, you can embed the package, environment, all other things, right? So you can have a succession plan, right? Talent development, you can give some training, right? You can give some training for some employees to go to the abroad and get some training and come back. Talent development, right? Or you can have employee retention program. So otherwise, you can transfer the risk by having some outsourcing company, right? You can outsource the employees, right? Using outsourcing company. So that is how you are transferring the risk, right? Right. So then for the supply chain disruptions, yes, supply chain disruptions. Supply chain disruptions. How we can mitigate the risk, or what are the risk response? Yes. Supply chain.
Having reliable suppliers.
Okay, having reliable suppliers. Yes, correct. So your pool of suppliers needs to be reliable, right? And you can have a kind of a pool of suppliers. So then one is missing, then you can go for other one, right? Multiple suppliers you can have. And you are having a good inventory management system, right? So you know what kind of a level your inventories they are, right? What kind of a level you are required for the process, right? Right. You can look at the inventory levels if you're having a good inventory management system, right? And also you can have a contingency plan, right? If there is any kind of a supply chain disruptions, I will store some sort of material in the warehouse, then I can use them as a contingency plan, right? You can have a contingency plan for the supply chain disruptions, right? Likewise, you can have a risk response. So when you're writing a risk response, you can see, right? It should be more practical, right? You can't find those things from theory, right? ඔගොල්ලෝ කටපාඩම් කරන් આવොත් මේක ලියන්න බෑ, right? Because how you are going to find those things from the annual reports? So generally annual reports, they are revealing how they are going to what kind of a strategies they are following to mitigate the risk, right? So they are identifying the risk, what kind of a risk response they are having for these kind of risks. So that you have to write, right? Right. Then, so we have developed the appropriate risk response strategies, right? And you can monitor the risk and control the risk, right? So key risk indicators, right? And risk reporting you can have, right? You can have the key risk indicators, right? Key risk indicators, and you can have a risk reporting, right? For the monitoring purpose, and you can have a risk management committee, right? Risk management committee, right? We can have audit committee also, right? And also you can have a continuous monitoring process, right? Continuous monitoring process, right? Risk reporting, you need to report everything to everyone, right? Risk reporting we have discussed. Key risk indicators, what you can develop a key risk indicators, right? So then you can have a risk reporting. Risk management committee, you can have audit committee or risk management committee, right? And you can have a continuous monitoring process, right? Continuous monitoring process, right? So that is the answer for the fourth one, right? Right. So then how we are going to analyze the framework, whether the framework is okay, right? So for example, now you are having an enterprise risk management process, right? Now you are having, right? So you need to check the effectiveness of this risk management framework. So how we are going to evaluate this? How we are going to evaluate this? How we are going to evaluate this? By using the first thing, you can use the KPIs, right? KPIs, key performance indicators, right? You can look at the key performance indicators and you can measure the impact of the risk management initiative you have taken with the financial performance. Because of these risk management initiatives, my financial performance has gone up. KPIs, you can look at the KPIs, key performance indicators of the company, right? Whether it is good or bad. So by looking at this, you can see the effectiveness of the risk management framework, right? Risk management framework, right? And also you can look at the trends and patterns, right? Trends and patterns. Last year, my profitability without a risk management framework this much, but this year it goes up because of this, right? And trends, the analysis of the trends and the patterns, right? Trends and patterns. Then the third one is the most important one. You can have the stakeholders feedback, right? You can have the stakeholders feedback, right? Employees give the feedback, the shareholders, external shareholders and external auditors, right? Government will give the feedback about the risk management process, right? Then lastly, you need to regularly review the framework, right? So as we mentioned before, this is an ongoing process. So you have to regularly monitor it, right? So stakeholder feedback, then you need to regularly monitor. Right? Regularly monitor. So that is how you can evaluate the effectiveness of the risk management. Right? Evaluate the effectiveness of the risk management. Right, right, right. I hope it's clear. Yes? Is it clear? Yes?
Yes, sir, it is clear.
Okay, good. Right. So then moving on to the operational risk, which is a kind of one of the big focused on your paper. Operational risk, because you are generally involving with the operation risk in your level, right? So in your level, you are generally working as an assistant manager or the executive, senior executive. So you are generally involving with the operational risk, not the strategic risk and the reputation risk and the financial risk. But generally, you are involving with the operational risk, right? So for the question number 4, for the operational risk, right? So I'm using the Sri Lanka cricket as a company, right? Because we are now having operational risk in the Sri Lanka cricket, right? The Sri Lanka Cricket Limited is a leading supplier of gardening and agricultural products. So that is what they have to do when they are not playing good cricket, right? As a final thing, catering to both retail and wholesale customers. The company operates across multiple divisions, each specialized in distinct product lines such as seeds, garden tools, and fertilizer. Right. So the Sri Lankan cricket is a kind of a gardening and agricultural product producing company. Right. So they are catering for retail and wholesale customers, both for the both, and they are operating in multiple divisions. That means multiple, let's say, countries, right? And their main product lines are the seeds, garden tools, and fertilizers, right? To ensure the operation efficiency and mitigate potential risks, Sri Lanka Cricket has an internal audit functions that regularly review companies' operations, right? To check the operational effectiveness of the company and mitigate the risk, the potential risk, they have the internal audit functions in place, right? And they are regularly reviewing the company operations. The company's seed division, that means they are having a seed, they are having different product lines. No, the one product line is seeds, right? The company's seed division is a significant revenue generator. So that is the main revenue generator of Sri Lanka Cricket, the seed division. Customers can purchase seeds packets online, providing credit card details and selecting products using specific codes. Right? What customer can do, they can purchase seeds packet online. Right? It's available in online. They can provide the credit card details and get the seed from the company website, right, or the online platform, and they are having a specific codes. Orders are manually transferred to the inventory and sales system. When the online purchase is done, the orders are manually transferred to the inventory and sales system, right? So we can draw a kind of a diagram, right? Customer is there, is placing the order in the online platform, right? Once the order is placed by credit card, using credit card, once the online order is placed, this is actually passing to or transfers to the inventory and sales system manually. The order is transferring to the system manually, right? System manually, right? Inventory and sales system, both. Generating two-part packing slips, right? So the packing slips, there are two-part packing slips are there. Warehouse staff pick and pack orders based on the packing slips. So based on this packing slip, right? Warehouse staff, right? Warehouse staff, what they are doing? Pick and pack the order. Right? Sending one copy to the accounts department, right? So based on these two slips, they are packing the order. Then they are send one slip to the finance division, right? Copy to the accounts division, account department or finance department for inventory and sales update and charge the customer credit card. Despite internal controls, the company experienced a 4.5 bad debt rates. So they are having a 4.5 bad debt rates. Right. Bad debts. Right. So this is the process they are having. Right. So the two questions are there. The first one is identify 4 operational level risk within Sri Lanka Cricket Limited and the seed division. Right. Identify 4 operation level risk within Sri Lanka Cricket Limited. So majorly in the seed division. Right. So what are the 4 operation level risks we can identify here? Yes. Yes. Tell me. Take some time. So let's have 5 minutes time. And just read the question and try to find out the operation level risk. Few operation level risk. So I will give you 5 minutes. Okay, so what are the operational level risks we are having? Yes. 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 What kind of risk we are having? So you can see once the customer ordered, right? So the order is passed manually to the system, right? So when you are passing manually to the system, sometimes there might be order entry errors can be happen. Right? Sometimes you will be enter the incorrect data or incomplete data, right? So because of this incomplete data, sometimes the or the product fulfillment about the product fulfillment or product uh, categories. Sometimes you are enter the wrong product, sometimes you are enter the wrong address, sometimes you are entering the wrong customer, right? So sometimes because of this, sometimes the order will not receive to the customer. Then customer will be dissatisfied. As a last thing, you will be losing your revenue, right? You will be losing your revenue, right? Or the entry level error can be happen, right? Then second one, yes, from your side, anything? Operational risk, yes.
Before
Yes.
charging the customer, they are packing the order.
Yes, before charging the packaging, before charging from the customer, they are packaging the order. Yes, so that's kind of a inventory discrepancies can be happen, right? Right, inventory discrepancies can be happen, and the financial losses can be happen. Let's say inventory discrepancies for that. Yes, right. The third one, any other operational level risk? Any other thing related to the fraud or error? There can be unauthorized access, right? Unauthorized access, right? Unauthorized access to the system, because mostly things are going manually, right? Unauthorized access for the inventory, unauthorized access for the sales, right? Right? That can be happen. Then any other thing? Operational risk. Yes. Yes. Yes, go ahead. Someone's trying to give the answer. Yes. So there might be fraudulent transactions. Right, fraudulent transactions may be there, because you can see once slip is transferred to the finance division or the accounts division, so they are preparing the things, right? Fraudulent transaction may be there, right? Manual transfer of the orders, details, and credit card processing create opportunity for kind of a frauds, right? Right. You can have a duplicate orders. You can get some money from the credit cards of the customers, right? Fraudulent transaction can be happen, right? fraudulent transaction can be happen. Likewise, you need to find out the operational risk when it's coming to the case. When the case is given, you have to find out the operational risk from the case study, right? So now we have find out the operational risk. Then for each operational risk, so what are the mitigating strategies? What are the mitigating strategies? Order entry error. When you are entering the order, sometimes there might be a error entry. You are entering the customer detail in a wrong manner, or the product details are wrong, address are wrong. Sometimes even though you are not get the payment, you are entering it as a paid order. Likewise. So what are the mitigating strategies you can follow? Yes, mitigating strategies.
Automate the order processing system.
Automating the order system. Okay, correct. So like if it is more specific, you can implement kind of a data validation check, right? So you can check the accuracy of the order information, right? Data validation check you can have, right? Even though it is automated or manually, you can have a data validation system, right? Data validation system. And it will check the accuracy of the data entry, right? And you can have a training to the comprehensive training to the staff, like data entry staff, right? Right. And you can have a kind of a procedure implemented to check the high value orders, right? If there's a high value order, it will check twice. High value orders, it will take twice the procedure for high value items, right? So likewise, you can have a mitigating strategies, right? You can think and write, right? And for the inventory discrepancies, yes, what are the mitigating strategies you can have? Yes. What you can have? You can have a physical inventory counts, regular inventory counts, right? And you can verify the inventory with the system, right? Normally what we are doing in the audit firms, no? Right? Physical inventory counts you can conduct and you can verify with the system, right? It is okay or not, right? Right. Physical inventory count. And you can use some sort of security softwares for the inventory. Or you can implement a stock control procedures. Sorry, the stock control procedures, not the security. Stock control procedures you can have, right? And you can utilize the technology to use in the inventory tracking, right? You can use the barcode scanner, right? And you can use kind of a drone barcode scanner. You can use the drone and you can scan the barcode of the inventory, right? Barcode scanners. You can utilize the technology. Likewise, right? Then the third one is unauthorized access. So what are the mitigating strategies? It is very easy. What are the mitigating strategies we can have? Yes, unauthorized access. But what is the first thing we can do? Yes. Tell me, otherwise this will become boring. Unauthorized access. So what are the mitigating strategies we can have? You can employ strong password policy. You can have access controls, right? You can have access control, and you can have authorized limits, right? And you can check your security system, right? Regular update about the security system, right? Right. And kind of implementing a user monitoring system, right? Who are the users who's logging into the system and logging out from the system? You can have a monitoring system, right? Right. You can have a password policies, right? You can have, let's say, uh, regular updates for the security system, right? You can have a monitoring system who is logging to the system and who's logging out from the system, right? Likewise, right? And for the fraudulent transactions you are having, what are the mitigating strategies you can have?
Delegation of authority.
Okay, we can say segregation of duties. Yes. Any other thing? You can have a good internal audit, right? Even though they are having internal audit, you can have a kind of a good internal audit practices. Right? You can use fraud prevention tools, fraud prevention softwares. So we are having nowadays we are having fraud prevention softwares, right? So one is Encase, software called Encase, right? Just search and see, right? Encase කියන software එක install කරාට පස්සේ ඔයාලට බලන්න පුළුවන් කම්පියුටරේ මොනවද කරලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා. ඔයාගේ කම්පියුටරේට Encase එක දැම්මොත් තව කවුරු හරි ඔයාගේ කම්පියුටරේ log වෙලා තියෙනවද කියලා බලන්න පුළුවන්. මොනවද එයා කරලා තියෙන්නේ, මොනවද කරලා තියෙන්නේ, මොනවද මේවා කරලා තියෙන්නේ, මොන transaction එකකට දාලා තියෙන්නේ, කීයද log වෙලා තියෙන්නේ, log out වෙලා තියෙන්නේ, මොන emails ද තියෙන්නේ, කවුද එයාට emails එවලා තියෙන්නේ වැඩිපුර, right? Emails වල communicate කරලා තියෙන්නේ මොනවද? All the things we can find out from using the Encase, right? Right. So that such kind of mitigating strategies we can follow, right? Right. So likewise, when there's a question, so you can generally the examiner will focus on the risk and the mitigating strategies, right? Right. Mitigating strategies, right? Right. So then I'm moving to the strategic risk because you are not talking to me, right? I will finish this off fast. Strategic risk is we are basically discuss about the strategic risk. Strategic risk is the risk where which is impacted to the business objectives, like if my business objective is to earn this much of profit of this year, so the risk which is impacted as a broad manner, we call it as a strategic risk, right? So what are the strategic risks here? We can read the question. It's a leading software development company specialized in the enterprise solutions. The company has experienced rapid growth in the recent years, expanding its operation into new markets. However, the dynamic and competitive nature of the technology industry exposes ABC to a range of strategic risks that could impact its long-term success. ABC faces several strategic risks that could hinder its growth and profitability. Identify and assess least 4 strategic risks facing ABC. For each risk, propose appropriate mitigation strategies. So you have to identify the risk they are having, right? And what are the mitigating strategies you can have, right? Right. So what kind of risk you will having when it's come to the software company? Strategic risk. What kind of strategic risk the companies can be having when it's come to the technology companies? Yes. Yes. Tell me. So mostly when it's come to technological company, software company. So technology will replace by it's rapidly changing, right? So today there's a one technology, next day there's a new technology, right? It is quickly changing, right? So the first strategic risk is technology, volatility of the technology, or technology is changing rapidly, right? Technology is changing rapidly, right? So that is the risk, right? Right. Technology is changing rapidly, right? So what are the mitigating strategies you can propose for the technological changes? Yes. If the technology is volatile and it's changing rapidly, what kind of mitigating strategies we can have? Yes. Technology change වෙනවා ළමයි මොකක්ද අපි කරන්න පුළුවන් mitigating strategy එක. Technological risk එකක් තියෙනවා. Technology එක හැම වෙලෙම change වෙනවා. මම technological industry එකේ තමයි වැඩ කරන්නේ. මම software company එකක්. So technology එක day by day වෙනස් වෙනවා. ඒක මට strategic risk එකක්. මගේ objective එකට බලපාන risk එකක්. Right? So what are the mitigating strategies we can have?
Invest in research and development.
Yes, very good. You can invest in the research and development, right? Because using the research and development, you can deal with the new changes in the technology, like you can see Apple, iPhone, Samsung, right? So those technological companies and also Microsoft, how we are dealing with the technological changes, right? Technological changes, right? So if you are not dealing with the technological changes, like what happened to Nokia, you can see, right? They are not dealing with the technological changes. They are not investing in the research and development, right? So you can, the first mitigating strategy, you can invest high amount of money in research and development. Large portion of money in research and development. Right? And also what we can do as a mitigating strategy. You can have some partnership, right? You can have some partnership. For example, you can see there's a partnership between the Microsoft and the Samsung, right? Right. Likewise, they can have partnerships, right? They can have partnerships as a mitigating strategies, right? So the next risk, when it's come to the technological company, next risk, general risk.
Competition.
Yes, correct. Competition, competitive risk, immense competition is there. Competition risk, competitive risk is there, right? So how we can mitigate the competition? How we can mitigate the competition? So generally, so mitigating the competition is actually we need to deal with the customers, right? Deal with the customers. So if you want to mitigate the competition, you need to deal with the customers, right? So therefore, one way is you can do some product diversification, right? Product differentiation, right? Not diversification, product differentiation. In the market, you can see Fevicol ගැන කිව්වා වගේ Fevicol product in the market ඔයාලට නිකන් normal glue තියෙනවා, right? හැබැයි Fevicol කියලා differentiate brand එකක් දෙනවා, right? මේක ඇලුවොත් තමයි ගලවන්න බෑ, right? Right? Product differentiation, right? And also your focus more on customer. Customer के requirement එක address කරනවා. More customer focus, right? More customer focus, right? More customer focus. And also you can look at the market expansions, you can move for the another market expansions, right? And also you can get the most talented ones to your company, talent acquisition. So in the market, there are few people who can make the KFC chicken, right? Market එකේ කීප දෙනෙක් දන්නේ KFC chicken හදන්න. ඒ නිසා ඒගොල්ලෝ අපි acquire කරගත්තොත් අපිට competition එකෙන් බේරෙන්න පුළුවන්. Right? මම උදාහරණයක් කිව්වා, right? Talent acquisition. Right? So those are the mitigating strategies for the competitive risk. So you can see when it comes to the strategic risk, not like in the operational risk. Operational risk, we are discussing about the operation factors, right? But when it comes to the strategic risk, you need to suggest the mitigating strategies as kind of a comprehensive things, right? Kind of a broader solutions, right? Right? Because it is impacted to the company as a whole, right? Right. Any other strategic risks you are having? So how we are going to identify the strategic risk? I have teach you as I remember the PESTEL. You can follow the PESTEL framework of Porter's 5 forces, right? So you can have economic downturns, right? As a risk, economic risk can be happen, right? Economic risk can be happen, right? So if the economic risk is there, you can have a cost management system, right? You are looking at the cost effectiveness, right? Cost management system, and you are trying to have the strong financial position, right? That means your financial status needs to be high. You can have a good assets, you can have a good current assets, right? The status is very much high, right? You need to have the good, strong financial position as a mitigating strategy when there's an economic downturn, right? When there's an economic downturn, right? Any other risk? Any other risk? Yes. Any other thing? So there might be environment risk, right? Regulatory risk. For example, regulatory risk, we are only going to identify 4 key risks, right? There are so many risks, strategic risks. So you can use the PESTEL analysis and you can identify the risk. So the regulatory risk, let's say one regulatory risk. So there might be a regulatory risk. So changes in the government regulations, right? Sometimes which is relating to the cyber security, sometimes which is relating to the taxations, which is coming for the like IT companies, right? Regulatory risk maybe, yeah. Regulatory changes. Normally in Sri Lanka, generally we can see the regulatory changes generally happening, right? The volatility of the regulatory changes are very high, right? So that is a kind of a strategic risk, right? දැන් මොකද අපේ ස්ට්‍රැටජි එකක් තීරණය කරන්න බෑ. මම හිතනවා මේ අවුරුද්දේ මම 120කින් මගේ ප්‍රොෆිට් එක වැඩි කරනවා කියලා. එකපාරම ගවර්න්මන්ට් එක කියනවා ඉන්ට්‍රස්ට් රේට් එක මෙච්චර ගානකින් උඩ දානවා කියලා. නැත්නම් ගවර්න්මන්ට් එක කියනවා ටැක්ස් රේට් එක මෙච්චර ගානකින් උඩට දානවා කියලා. Right? So then I can't achieve that target. That is impacted to my strategic objective. So that is the regulatory risk, right? So what are the mitigation strategies? You can look at the compliance monitoring. You can have a compliance monitoring system, right? And also you can have some sort of industry engagement, industry relationship, right? You can have a relationship with the regulatory bodies, right? Actively participate in the industry associations, right? And also you can influence the future regulations, right? What normally Sri Lankan companies are doing this, right? Because like ගොඩක් companies කරනවා ඇමති ඒ අදාළ ශේෂ්ත්‍රයේ ඇමති වෙන්න ඉන්න එක්කෙනාට ඡන්දෙට උදව් කරනවා. right? Then they know when they are telling that don't do this as a regulatory change. So they can influence the future regulations. That is also a mitigating strategy, right? If they are building an industry engagement with the people, then they can influence the future regulations. Right? Now I know මම මේ පත් කරගත්ත ඇමතිතුමා තමයි ඉන්නේ ඒ නිසා regulatory changes වෙන්නේ නැහැ ඒ නිසා my company එකට impact වෙන්නේ නැහැ. So that is how I'm mitigating my strength, right? So when I'm doing the business, so we have to follow like that, things like that, right? So you can build the relationship with the regulatory parties or with the engagement parties, right? So that is also a mitigating strategy, right? So in the annual report, they are not saying that we are building a relationship with the future minister, right? They are saying that we are building the industry engagement with the people or the regulatory bodies, right? Like that, right? Right. You got my points? Yes. Yes. Clear?
Clear, sir.
Okay, cool. Right. So there are 38, right? So these are the things actually I want to cover up in today's discussion generally. So I hope you got some points, right? So same type of structure will come in your examination. Sometimes the comprehensiveness of the question will be much higher than this, but I want to show you what kind of things I'm going to ask from you. Majorly, I'm looking at the how you are going to identify the risk, how you are going to assess the risk when it comes to ERM, right? And how we are going to develop the risk response and how we are going to evaluate the risk management process. And also when it comes to the operational risk and the strategic risk, what are the operational risks, how we are using the mitigation strategy, and for the strategic risk, what are the strategic risks and how we are going to mitigate the risk, right? Sometimes the numbers will be there, so then you can use the numbers as well, right? And for the ethical issues, I'm looking at the professional accountant in, generally I'm looking at the professional accountant in business, right? Rather than for the professional accountant in practice, right? So sometimes the both will become, right? So my main focus is on the professional accounting in business, right? So therefore, be ready with these questions, right? So half of your questions, half of your paper is coming up from the risk management, right? Another half is coming from risk management and ethics. Another half is coming from the governance aspects, right? And for your presentation, we will provide 25 marks. And for your quiz, I think it's also 25 marks. So then that means when you're going for the examination already, you have earned 50 marks, right? So from the paper, you have to only earn 50 marks to pass the exam or get the pass, right? Right. So that is how it goes. Okay. Any other questions? Any other concerns regarding the presentation or any other thing? Yes.
Yeah, sir, one questions. What would be the paper structure? Like how many questions will come from ethics and how many questions will come from the risk?
That actually I want to talk with Dr. Chaturi. So I will talk with Dr. Chaturi and tell you. Generally, I will actually we will post the examination structure if possible in the LMS, right? Or else I will inform through the WhatsApp group or anything, right? So that's how it goes. I have talked with the Dr. Chaturi. Generally, it would be 50-50, right? So most probably for the 3-hour paper, most probably there might be 5 questions, right? Right. If there's any kind of a selection, sometimes it would be 6 questions, right? Generally, it goes with 5 questions normally, right? So, but I have to talk with Dr. Chaturi and make the amendment. So then I will inform to you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes. Any other thing regarding the presentation? No issues. Okay then. Any questions? Any other questions? Any other concerns? All clear? All clear? All okay? Yes. Guys, please
Yes, sir.
talk. Okay then. So then let's wind up the session for today. And let's meet on Saturday with the presentation. So I hope everyone will come into the presentation and see the presentation, because I will pick some of the points from the presentation and I'll put those points in the paper as well. So therefore, better to come to the presentation and listen to the presentation. So different groups, they will provide different perspective. They have different perspective, and they have different risk identified, right? And different industries they are talking about, right? So those things will be very much helpful to your examination, right? So hopefully everyone will come to the presentation, right? So we will be starting the presentation sharp at 12:30. First group needs to be there before 12:30, right? I will start the presentation sharp at 12:30, because we have only limited time, right? Right. Because if we lose some time at the beginning, it will hurt to the final groups, right? Right. So therefore, please be on time, so then we can finish the things on time, right? Okay then. So thank you very much for participating, and thank you very much for contributing with your answers and for the discussion for today's session. So I hope you have gathered something. So thank you very much and have a good day, good night. So let's meet on Saturday with the presentation. Okay. All the best for your presentation and good night.